All right, and we should be live. Welcome back to the third installment of this project. This is the Sideshow Darkseid. We are doing a repaint. This is if this is your first time joining in, welcome to the channel. If you are already subscribed, welcome back. Basically, a quick rundown. We are doing a repaint on the Sideshow Maquette. A lot of people weren't happy with the paint scheme, so we're giving him brighter colors, better shading, better highlights, better weathering, the complete works. So, like I said, this is part 3. Over in part 1, we did the base coat with the brighter blues and the brighter grays. Part 2 was yesterday. I went in and I started working on the chest and the back, doing the shading, doing the highlights, also doing the ink washes. So I'll give you an up close look at that before we begin today. But right off on the side, you might be able to see them and what's going on there. And yeah, basically, I think today we're going to start working on the portraits a little bit. I want to get the portraits base coated. This way they have time to dry and I'll be able to mask them off and basically work on those and get those prepared. And then I think later on in the day, or maybe like in a half hour, I want to get back to doing the ink wash. We're going to start working on the loincloth and hopefully work my way down to the boots. If I could finish the entire blue section of this guy today on his body, that would be fantastic. So again, try to get to eventually get to the ink washing and the shading and the highlighting on the body. I'll give you a quick up close look of what he's looking like so far. So basically from far away, if you look at the lower half right there, that was basically part 1. And then part 2, excuse me, we started to add in all of the shading, all of the highlights into the blue sections. And here's a look at his back. It's not done yet, but it's getting there. I still have to go back in and do a little bit more weathering. But it's shaping up nicely. It's looking great. So I'll be moving my way down, working my way down on this guy. But I want to get to the portraits, get those started. Do something a little bit different today at the start of the video. So for that, I'm actually going to get this guy out of the way so we can make room for the portraits. So let me get this back on the stand. And we'll set up the portraits. Get those quickly sprayed. This way they have time to cure and dry. Just find a spot for this guy, somewhere to put him temporarily. Okay. He is one big, heavy chunk of statue. Okay. I think he should be good over there. All right, so getting back to the portraits, we obviously still have the hand, which also still needs to get base coated. We're going to completely erase this orange glow, so I'll eventually be getting to that as well. Maybe today, maybe in the next video. I'm not sure yet. But we still have the portraits. Nothing has been done to them yet. I still need to base coat the gray for the brighter grays, and I still need to base coat the blue. Comes with 2 portraits, more enraged face and then a more relaxed, determined looking face. More of like a Jack Kirby style of Darkseid. So that's what we're working on today, real quick. And then we'll work our way back over to finishing up his body. So on the portraits, I like to use these metal iron stands. They're magnetic. Basically the magnets stick to them very nicely. Like so. Allows me to maneuver them and paint them. So got one for each of his heads. Like that. So basically, let me zoom in for you. probably get a drop lower since Darkseid's not so high up in the air anymore. So this was my major complaint with this statue, even though it looks better on my phone right now because my phone seems to saturate all the colors and make everything look a little bit better. It doesn't look like that in person. Okay, I think about right there is good. My issue with the portraits were they're just kind of, you know, dull as far as like any details that were put into them. Let me bring them up close. Also the teeth were just pretty much the same color as the skin tone. Again, it's looking better on my on the video than it does in person. The eyes, I'm not sure if they were painted. It looks more like maybe like a decal, but they put like that little white glow dot, which I wasn't too thrilled about. So like I say in all of the beginning of these types of videos, these are going to be long, drawn-out videos, basically for people that want to get into the hobby or just want to see every single step that goes into painting one of these guys. You know, they're going to be long and probably boring to most people, but if you want to learn or just see what goes into the entire process, then these are the type of videos for you. These are the type of videos I like to watch for when I'm watching YouTube and other artists working on projects. I pick up a lot of techniques and different learning skills. So I'm just returning the favor and doing a live stream for these guys so you get to see everything. If you don't want to see the whole long drawn out purpose, I already repainted one of these. It's already on my channel. Basically doing the same paint job. You could already go check it out and see the before and after. It's how I painted Darkseid before and after. But getting back to the portraits, we're going to start base coating them with the brighter grays. I'll mask off the eyes with some silly putty. The teeth, I don't need to mask off because the teeth actually become the base coat color of the gray I'm using. When you're painting teeth, you don't want to paint them, you know, pearly white. Just it doesn't look right. You know, Darkseid one in general, like villains with bright white teeth, just doesn't look right. Or on any statue, bright white teeth doesn't look right. Most people have, you know, more of like a shade of gray, or, you know, like a shade of ivory to their teeth. It's not just, you know, it's more of like an off-white. But for him, we're going to do like it's like a whitish gray. So that's what we're using for his teeth color. The eyes, I will get rid of that white glow in the middle, and they'll get just painted a nice solid red, and then they get high glossed, and it comes out fantastic. I already did it, like I said, on one statue before that I did a repaint on this guy. So that comes out really great. On this portrait, the enraged face, we're going to be doing the Omega beams. Not shooting out of his face, obviously, because I can't, you know, I don't have a, you know, 3D printed beams that can attach to his eyes. But what we do is make some cracks and kind of like the Omega beams are kind of like starting to form, or like throughout the cracks, like his face is kind of like heating up. So there'll be like cracks of red and orange, just like his face is getting enraged. I do like a little bit of a glow effect on the eyes, and it comes out really cool. So that will get done. I'm not sure, that probably won't get done today, but eventually that'll get done in a future video. Basically just today, at least for the beginning of today, I want to just get this base coated real quick and let that dry, so this way I can mask it off and then rotate them and start base coating the blue. So I don't want to waste too much time today explaining everything. Definitely check out part 1 and part 2. It kind of goes over everything that's going to be done. And let me just move this out of the way. I can see what's going on. If you are watching this live and you have any questions along the way of what's going on, or any questions of, you know, any tools or paint, or just any art questions in general, any statue questions just in general, anything you want to talk about, I will glance over every once in a while and see what you guys got to say. Or if you're watching this on replay and you have any questions, I'm always happy to answer any comments. But yeah, for the most part, I'm going to get this guy set up with the gray base coat. For the gray base coat, we're using a sky gray that is our base coat. It goes on very bright, and then afterwards with the ink wash and the shading, kind of dulls it down a little bit. I won't go too in depth to that because I've already explained it all in part 1 and part 2. So yeah, this is the third installment, the third video. I think I did 3 in a row right now. I'm trying to work my way through this guy and get him done. You know, once I start a project, I get attached to it. So I'm excited to keep working on this guy as much as possible before, you know, the holidays kick in and, you know, comes more about, you know, spending time with family. So trying to get as much as done as possible for, you know, for me it would be, you know, Christmas and New Year. So I'm just shaking up my, what was this, sky gray. And then I could probably pan out a little bit for now, so you can see what's going on. Okay, let's leave it there. So shake up your paint, give it a good shake. I use, let's see, these little shot cups for whenever I'm mixing paint. It's very cheap, get them at the dollar store. We will be masking off his eyes. For masking on the eyes, I just basically use silly putty. Nothing special on that. Again, grab that at the dollar store if they have it. What else do we need? Get some wooden skewers. I like to use these when I'm pushing around the silly putty. It's you know, very safe to use on the statue. It's not, you know, sharp. I mean, it's pointy, but it's not sharp to where I'm going to damage the paint or anything. So skewers or toothpicks work great for that. Let's see, what else do we need? I guess that's about it. And then my thinner. Always got to thin down your paint. I have videos on this explaining what is inside of my thinner, but it's basically isopropyl alcohol, water, and glycol to help. It's a paint retardant, which basically dries down slows down the drying time of the paint. Trying to decide if I'll erase this today or not. It's always fun. I always love erasing this gray glow. It's very satisfying. I might do it a little bit later. I want to focus on the portraits first, so I'm going to set this off to the side for now. Let's see. All right, so let's load up the gray. Get that going. Actually, no. Let's load up. Let's do the silly putty first. This way, it has time to stick and settle in place. Do I want my gloves on? Let's see if anybody's in the chat. George Moss is in the chat saying howdy. What's up, George? Good morning or evening, wherever you're located. I Am Vengeance is in the chat. Am I selling him? No, this was sent to me by a collector, and I am just doing a repaint on him. This was the second one that was sent to me now that I'm doing a repaint for. Would I possibly do another one in the future? Maybe. You know, I don't tend to work on the same project over and over again. My original plan actually for this I was actually sent both of them at the same time. And I was going to try to work on both of them at the same time, but it wasn't working out. I didn't want to have to worry about overspray from one onto the other. It was just, I wanted to keep my focus on one. As much as it sounded cool to like kind of run them in an assembly line and, you know, maybe like paint 4 portraits instead of 2, it just worked out better for me to focus on one at a time. So the collector that I'm working on this for, he's been very patient because I've been having it now for maybe like a few months that I've been telling him I was going to work on it. So finally getting around to it the second time. I had to take a break from the last one I did. I didn't want to do 2 of them back to back, so I took a little bit of break, you know, between projects. So I'm ready to start working on him again. If I had to do a third one, same thing. I would need a few months break and work on some more projects of different characters, and then maybe in the future I'll do another one. I've already been hit up a few times to repaint this guy for a few people, but you know, you can only repaint so many before you get a little bit tired of doing it. All right, just finishing my coffee. All right, let's get the silly putty put on his eyes. This way, even though they're getting repainted, I want to keep them red. It's a lot easier to spray the red on top of the red. So his eyes are pretty small. Don't really need too much putty. So I just usually just jam that in there like that, and then I'll push it in with my skewer or a toothpick. Let's see. Oh, sorry. I have a little too much here. Let me rip some of this off. You know what? I need a new skewer. That one was broken in half from a past project I was doing something with. Sometimes I like to use the other end that's not pointy, just to get into place. It doesn't have to be perfect because I will be going back in later with a paintbrush. But I just want to get the majority of the red blocked off. So today should be hopefully a shorter video. I keep saying I'm not going to spend too much time each day, and I ended up doing so far 4 hours each video. I'm hoping to maybe do half of that today. Okay, that's his eye. Cover that back up. That should be enough. Like I said, I got to go back and use the paintbrush anyway. But it's enough to where I won't hit it with the gray paint. Let's get the other eye. Edwin Diaz in the chat. What's up, Edwin? Saying, what's up, man? What's your rate more or less to fix broken pieces? Part of the bottom of a base broke. At the moment, I'm not taking too many repairs. I think I said it in one of the previous videos. You know, this year I must have fixed maybe like 50 statues for collectors. Somewhere along the year or last few years, I got labeled as the repair guy. And I'll say it again, as much as I like, helping the community, and I hate to see things broken, so I have a hard time saying no when it comes to fixing things for people. Because I want to help out as much as I can. Repairs take up a lot of time. It takes up a lot of space in my booth because now I'm dealing with sanding, which makes a mess. So it requires me to clear everything out because I don't want to get any wouldn't be considered like sawdust, but like resin dust. I guess it would be called, all over the place, all over my table. So it just makes a mess. It's also, like I said, very time consuming. The other thing with repairs is it's constantly matching somebody else's work. When I'm fixing it, I'm trying to match somebody else's paint technique. Trying to match, somebody else's style. I'm trying to mimic somebody else's colors. And I've done that so much this year. Just a little tired of it. I want to get back to doing my own thing. My own style, and just I want to, for 2024, I want to focus more on, painting my stuff, or, basically what other people send me as, commission work. But I will still take a few repairs here and there. In which case, I don't want to give out prices. You can always just PM me, because prices are always fluctuating based on how busy my schedule it is. At the moment, I'm usually backed up for about 3 months. I think I'm currently backed up right now until like March, just doing commission work for people. Just painting statues and painting models and kits. So yeah, the prices fluctuate. I mean, if I have nothing going on, I lower my rates. If my schedule is jam packed and I have to squeeze something in, which requires me to, move bigger projects out of the way, unfortunately, I just have to raise my rates a little bit during those times, because it just doesn't make sense, like I said, for me to clear my bench off. So, yeah, just shoot me a PM. I'll see what I could do. I say that every time, but then I keep still taking repairs. So as much as I want to get away from them a little bit. But it's nothing crazy. It's nothing crazy as far as the amount of work I put into it, that's for sure. It's more of like a little, on my end, it's more of like a little bit of compensation, and you paying for the materials that I go through, as far as like, paint and any tools I'm using, and there's always the cleanup process, and everything costs money. All right, I probably didn't need that much. Again, on that eye, let me move this over. Like I said, sometimes it's less time consuming masking, and then it is just to go back and touch it up with the paintbrush. So I'm not going to fuss with that too long, because it'll be quicker for me just to go back in with the paintbrush and cover up any spots I need to cover up. Let's see if I can do this one a little quicker. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shape the putty in the shape of his eyeball first, and then just drop it in place. Still early, and I'm just getting started. As the day goes, I wake up and get a little smarter. That's what I need to do here. So on this portrait, his brows are a little bit more thicker. He's almost like a caveman, so it's actually a little bit easier to get the putty in there and stick in place. He's got a deeper eye socket on this one. So that was already a lot quicker to do that. Okay, that one's already good. Just gotta do one more, and then we'll get to spraying the airbrush on it. I am Vengeance. What's up, buddy? Any statues on pre-order? I have one licensed piece on pre-order, and then I have 2 custom statues on pre-order. The licensed one, I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing with it yet. It's the Prime 1 Batsuit Joker. I recently just sold my Talon. As much as I love the Prime 1 Talon, I had him low in my cabinet, and it was just hard to see him down there, and he didn't fit anywhere else in my display. My display is a little tricky based on my cabinets. I have to work with what I got with my display cabinets. They're not, you know, they're not ideal display cabinets for 1/3. They were better for 1/4. So until I get new cabinets, maybe one day, I gotta be very selective of what I put in them. It's, you know, it's not so easy fitting 1/3 in there. So the Batsuit Joker is one I really like. I'm just worried that it would also probably be the first one I sell if they come out with another character, say eventually when we get a Riddler 1/3, or if they would do like a Mr. Freeze 1/3 or a Scarecrow 1/3. Obviously, the Batsuit Joker would be the first one to go because I want to stay with the more traditional characters first. But I do really like that piece, so I am still excited for it. I think I keep going back and forth with it. One day I'm like, oh, I'm definitely going to keep my pre-order, and then some days I'm like, oh, maybe I should cancel it. I don't know. And then I have two customs. I have a custom, so that's that eye. All right, so we can get the spraying. I have two custom. I have this company is making some Alex Ross inspired statues. I have a custom Alex Ross Superman, which I'm waiting to get shipped. The rest of the guys can finish their payments so we can all get our statues to us. We're waiting on a few guys to finish their payments up, and for some reason the rest of us are being penalized for that. Until they finish their payments, they can't ship the statues out. And then the other one is an Alex Ross Batman, which is still in production. So the Superman is, you know, ready to ship, and then Alex Ross is in the works right now. They're still, I guess, 3D printing it and doing whatever they need to do to make sure everything goes smoothly in production. All right, so there's that guy for now. I don't need to mask off the blue because I'll touch that up later. I'm going to spray the gray, let the gray dry, and then I will mask off the gray. The entire face gets masked off with the putty again, and then I go in and I spray the blue part of the base coat, as well as the shading and everything else. So that's why I'm doing this now before I go back to finishing up the body. I want this to properly cure and dry for a day or two. All right, let me set up my airbrush gun. It's all set to go. I just got to get my paint in the cup. So we got JC Chan in the chat. I always like the Batsuit Joker. Yeah, I've always been a fan of like the Jokerized Batman suits. I think they made a few 1/6 scale style ones. I don't know if it was like McFarlane Toys or, you know, like where the Batsuit's all graffitied up. I always thought it was pretty cool. That piece in general is cool. I really like the base on it. So the base is basically a crashed 1/3 Batmobile, which is really cool. So you get half of a Batmobile on the base. So I really like it for that reason too. But like I said, I'm just worried. You know, the statues are a lot of money these days. You know, with shipping, it's probably going to be like a $2,000 statue, and they didn't make many of them. I think the edition size was 100, and it didn't sell out too fast. It's on low stock right now, so I worry if I ever have to resell it, am I going to be able to resell it? Is anybody else going to be interested in it as much as I like it? I don't know. I mean, it wouldn't be anytime soon. The time we get a 1/3 Riddler or the other characters, I mean, they're going to be done, but by the time they get, you know, produced and shipped, it's going to be like another 2 years, the least. So it'll be a while before I see, you know, those types of characters to where I need to make that decision of changing my collection around again. Unless Prime 1 surprises us, but I doubt it. We'll see. Maybe. You never know. Prime 1 said they're going to start, you know, focusing more on quarter scale than 1/3. But I think they'll still be doing a few here and there, so you never know. Maybe we'll still get some cool 1/3 DC pieces. Alright, so I'm adding my thinner to, let's see, let's use this brush, to my paint here. You want to get it to a milky consistency to where it's get a nice slow drip off the brush or your stirring tool like that. If that was caught on camera, I don't know. If it's dripping too quickly, it's too watery. If it's not dripping at all, it's too thick. But all that can be adjusted on the pressure settings of your compressor. But basically you want to keep it around a milky consistency. So, close over here. All right, let's load up the gun. I always like to do a few spray test patterns here before we actually shoot it on the statue. Okay. It's a little watery. It's not terrible though. I'll just spray it a little bit slower. Okay. Let's get his portraits painted. Move this off to the side. Make sure we are in frame. I guess that's a good angle. Make sure you see that. Let me close my door because the compressor is going to kick on and off. Alright. So I got a few hours to paint today, and then I gotta get to my normal routine for work. So try to get as much as I can get done. I think I'm gonna go probably till about noon. Times at 9, 10. Yeah, maybe do like 2 hours today. See on camera? Okay. So that's going to be the color of the teeth. It'll dry a little bit darker, but I basically leave the teeth the color of the base coat, and then the skin will get stained darker. So basically just starting off with a light mist, and then I'll go back and do a little bit of a heavier coat. Edwin Diaz, how come no masking of the helmet? Is the brush very accurate to use not to hit the blue? Uh, I have a pretty, I shouldn't say I have a pretty steady hand, but after a while, my hand gets pretty steady. Right now, I'm actually pretty good. I'm feeling good today. Usually early in the morning, my hand's a little bit more shaky. Um, I mean, I have pretty good control over the airbrush. I mean, I can get you in closer and just show you. I mean, I'm pretty good at just drawing straight lines if I have to with this thing. But no, the blue will, I mean, his face will eventually get masked. The reason I'm not masking the blue is because it's just gray. I mean, if I was like doing a different color, if I was, say, for example, spraying his face red, I really wouldn't want the red to mix on top of blue and then try to, spray over red again. It just, any color on top of red or like some, more strange, not neutral color might affect the color of the helmet. But because it's just gray, it's almost like this a similar color to what a primer would be. Like if I was using white or black, or gray, anything neutral. I usually really don't have to mask because the blue will just cover it back up again. So once he gets, painted, I'll mask off the gray. And if I have the slightest little bit of overspray, it gets touched up just fine with the blue. But yeah, good question. Most of the time, I would be masking. On this guy, I really don't need to do too much masking. Like I said, I could do pretty straight lines with the airbrush gun, but I will also go in with just a regular paintbrush and detail him at the end, along with everything else on his body. Uh, JC Chan, have you ever found an STL file that you wanted to print and build for your own collection? Yeah, absolutely. I actually have a whole bunch of stuff 3D. I just got into 3D printing a few years ago. Yeah, actually, we're in pretty close. I'll show you how close I can get without. I mean, I'm already in pretty close, and I'm not even hitting the blue yet. Yeah, I'll just do one straight line across his forehead, right up to the blue. Just to show you an example. So if you can see that brighter line on his forehead, I mean, that's with no masking. I didn't get 1 ounce on the blue area. So, I don't know. Depends on the artist. I mean, if you don't have good hand control, yeah, you might get it all over the place. If you take your time and you're pretty good at, controlling the brush, I could pretty much line him like I was using a paintbrush. Yeah, going back to the STL file question. All the time. I own a 3D printer. It's been a while since I've 3D printed because people just send me their own stuff. But I do have a few projects for myself that I just haven't had time to paint because I'm always doing things for other people. There's actually, going back to waiting for a 1/3 Riddler, there's a really cool 1/3 Riddler that I found the other day where he's like in a sitting pose, which pretty much matches the rest of my collection because I gotta, find pieces that fit in my cabinets, and it's usually statues that are sitting down or crouched down. And I'm thinking about printing him. So my printer, I can handle easily 1/6 scale because my build plate isn't the largest for a 3D printer. I can handle some quarter scale stuff if it's a museum pose and not too large. But I have a guy that has a larger printer I've been thinking about contacting and seeing maybe if we can 3D print a 1/3 scale Riddler. I'm trying to think if it's worth the hassle because I feel like I'm going to start doing a project like that and then something will just get announced by a company, but I don't know. Plus, I don't really have too much time to paint anything for myself. Like I said, constantly painting things for other people, whether it's repairs or, like I said, moving forward, working on you know, either repaints or model kits. But there's a lot of great STL files out there. There's a few groups I belong to. They're Patreon, and a lot of these sculptors, they're really talented. Some of these guys, I feel like, you know, they're maybe even more talented than some of the licensed guys that are working for these companies. I'm surprised none of the companies swoop them up. We on camera? No. Go in like so this side. The problem with trying to do everything on camera is trying to get the right angle. Sometimes my hand gets in the way, so I might have to block a little bit from what you're seeing. Okay. Just gonna get across that hairline one more time. All right. He's got like a little something stuck in his tooth. I might have to go in with the X-Acto blade and cut that out. Kind of looks like he has a. I don't know if it'll focus. It's not focusing. I don't know if you'll see it on camera. On his bottom tooth, it looks like he has a little piece of food stuck in his teeth. Let me actually cut that out now before I go any further. Yeah, so I'll show you what's going on remotely. Been finding little QC issues with this statue in general. I was finding paint bristles and all these other issues. Let me see if I can get the focus on him. I don't know if you'll see it right in the middle tooth, on the bottom row of his teeth. There's that little piece of something. So it looks like a piece of food stuck in his teeth. So I'm gonna cut that out real quick. See if I come closer. There we go, right there. See that? So that's how it came from the factory. So I'm gonna fix that up real quick, because that is very distracting. If that was my statue, I wouldn't want that on there. I don't know if you followed along with the part 1 or part 2. I was finding brush bristles stuck all over the place. The chest actually had a few pinholes in it, to where I had to patch up the pinholes. Must have been a little bit of like bubbles in the casting or something. So very sloppy. So I'm just gonna go in with a little scalpel X-Acto blade and cut that out. Should pop out fairly easy. What's in the meantime, what does everybody else? Anybody else have anything cool on pre-order that's coming in soon, or just in general? Anybody take advantage of that? Any good Black Friday deals? I've been trying to ignore all the Black Friday sales, so I don't get tempted by anything. Okay, it's getting there. I can blast it out. Got a tiny little spot left. This was supposed to be just a repaint. I feel like I'm going back to repairing stuff again. Can never escape the repair process. But it's gotta be done. I can't send this out the way it is. I mean, if it was somewhere else, I'd be like, okay, maybe, you know, you're not gonna see it, but it's right on his tooth. Like, I feel like I'm at the dentist office chipping away plaque off of his tooth. Alright, I think I got it. Alright, he just got a teeth cleaning. Alright, I'm going to respray that and see how it looks. But, if it's going to focus, but basically I just chipped it out. Alright, let me show you what that's looking like. It's pretty much gone, but I gotta let it dry and I'll hit it with a few more coats of paint. It'll be completely gone. So it was right there on the bottom. Still a little spot, but if I have to, I'll soften it up again with the razor. Try to slice it down a little bit. But I think with another coat or two of paint, it'll be all out. You won't even notice it. So that's the before. I mean, I still gotta trace around his helmet a little bit, but and again, you know, he still has to get ink washed, but it's the difference between the skin tone colors. It's obviously not staying like that though. It's going to get a lot darker. Also, the paint still has to dry. Alright, so let me finish edging this, and then we'll get over to the other one, and then we'll get back to the body. Okay. There we go. Yeah, it's already disappearing. Okay. 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 Just getting this eye socket. But yeah, going back to the original question, Edwin. As you can see, I didn't mask off the blue. I mean, you know, I got a little overspray like on the inner liner of the helmet. That's not a big deal. That's going to be really dark over there, a dark blue. But yeah, I got a pretty steady hand at most times when it comes with the airbrush gun. To where I can get away with not masking a lot of times. If I wanted like a really crisp line, like say if this was like a finished, you know, point of the project where I want to just run a really crisp line, yeah, I definitely would mask something off. But this is just the early stages. This is just the base coat. This is all going to change anyway. I still got to splash ink all over the place. The ink makes a mess. So there's no point of trying to protect everything at the moment. It's going to get a lot messier before it gets better. So going back to the comments, I'm Vengeance. He's got the Sideshow quarter scale penguin and Tweeterhead Two-Face on pre-order. Yeah, super excited for those. Yeah, that Sideshow penguin came out really great. That was a tough choice because I had the Prime 1 penguin on pre-order, and then Sideshow released that piece, and I was like, uh-oh. I was like, oh, decisions. But I'm really happy with the third scale penguin. But yeah, the quarter scale, it's a different take. He's more, you know, grittier and, you know, looks like he just fell out of the sewer. So it's a different, definitely a cool take on him. Eric Peter Carlson, loved watching. Nice peaceful start to the day. Pre-order, he's got the Vampirella shipping and Michelle Catwoman. He has a new red Sonya and Elvira on order, as well as the 89 Keaton Bruce Wayne and Batman set. Wow, that's a lot of great pieces all at once, man. You're all in on those, right? That's a really great pre-order list. Billy, yeah. Billy, I'm headed out into the traffic in a little bit. I'm doing a few hours of work before I got to leave. Just painting and stuff. Edwin, he's got in the XM Apocalypse, Battle Cat Tweeterhead, and the Jazz Inc. 1966 a car. Oh, wow, arriving today. Wow. Yeah, the Prime 1 Terminator and 2. I'm not a Terminator collector, but like those are some of my favorite. I say it all the time, like Alien, Predator, Terminator. I think those are some of the best statues that I've seen made. Wow, that Jazz Inc. What is that 6 scale? I think the Jazz Inc. pieces are 6 scale, right? It's going to be a big. Those things are big when they do those vehicles. That one looks really cool too. That the old '66 Batmobile. I've seen that a few pictures of it. All right, so that's the base coat color difference. Like I said, it's not staying. Like right now, he looks like he's painted white. That's going to dry slightly darker. If you saw the base coat on the body, that's basically what it's going to look like. And then he's going to get ink washed. He's going to get dry brushed. He's going to get shaded. And it gets a lot darker. It's like more of like a mixture of in between these two colors. But we got to start off brighter before we can get to the darker. So let me quickly get this guy painted off, and then we'll move back to the body. I want to start off a little bit different today, since I started off every other video with ink washing and just doing base coats. And then I really want to paint over this thing, if there's time. It's fun erasing that. So let me load up a little bit more paint in the airbrush gun. Yeah, so I'm in I work in New York City, and not looking forward to traffic, especially during the holiday season. It's a nightmare out there. Which portraits do you guys like better, by the way? Oh, spill my paint. Good thing it's out. So you got the Jack Kirby, and then you got like more of like a modern take. So with this one, it was just like, you know, very simple, a round helmet, the big eyebrows, well, you know, the big eye sockets, Jack Kirby style. And then we had this more modern enraged portrait to where you get a little bit more details on the helmet. He's got like all these different panels on the helmet. He's got more weathering. Like you see like some battle damage with the, you know, the scrapes and the cuts in the helmet. I'm usually more of a modern guy, but I like the Jack Kirby one better, especially on this statue. I don't know what you guys think, but that's my preference. Definitely like this one a lot better. So, reading Eric Peter Carlson's comment, he says he was born and raised in the Hudson Valley, and he still rents out his childhood home there, but moved to California about 10 years ago. New York City always brought my blood pressure up through the roof. Yeah, no kidding. I moved away from New York for like 2 years, and it was great. You know, less stressful. But I gotta admit, I did miss seeing all the tall, you know, buildings in the city and everything. As far as like, you know, like architecture and everything goes, there's nothing like seeing a New York City building. You're not missing much. The city has gotten a lot worse. A lot more homeless people and drug addicts, I guess would be the word to call them, stumbling all over the place. I've never been to California. I always wanted to make the trip out there. It's a little bit of a long flight, but one day I'd like to check it out. Originally, I wanted to head out to California and do like a Disney slash like San Diego Comic Con trip, but I heard that the Disney is a lot smaller out there compared to the one in Florida, so that kind of like changed my mind about heading there, just at least for going to Disney out there. So I'm going a little bit quicker on this guy, getting a little bit more overspray. Nothing crazy, but just trying to speed things up here. Okay, let me just blast this with the air hose for few minutes here, dry them off. Just shooting compressed air at them helps speed up the drying. Or I could use a hair dryer. Don't ever use a heat gun with acrylic paint. You'll melt it. We'll let that dry for a minute. What we got? Huh, oh wow. Eric saying Disneyland is like a county fair. Yeah, it looks yeah, even from like pictures you don't really like see like even the pictures it doesn't look like there's a lot there. So yeah, yeah, the homeless I can imagine. Yeah, it's probably even worse in LA. I can only imagine. Yeah, that was the main reason I wanted to go to the California one. I noticed they have like some of the rides are a little bit different than the one over in Florida. So I mean, I'm guessing it's still fun, right? I don't know. I don't know if it's sitting on an airplane for 10 hours fun though. That's the whole question. If I had some other stuff to do out there, maybe. All right, I think I have just enough paint in my cup to finish off this porch. I got like one more. I'm just gonna hit it one more time, really quick, and then we'll move back to the body. Gotta let him dry. He's getting a little runny. Let's see. Actually, I have my hair dryer here. Let's speed this up. Actually, you know what? I'll start blasting the other one again real quick, just to see if I missed anything. Let him dry. I'll mix up a new smaller batch. Camera still. Let's see. Okay. Hey, take care, Eric. Thanks for stopping in. What time is it? 17. All right. Let's make thinner. Doing this batch a little bit thicker. The first one was a little bit watery. It was going on okay, but it's not drying as quickly as I would like it to dry. Base coat is done on that guy. Set him off. This guy's still a little wet. Get my hair dryer. Okay. Let that dry for a second. Also want to let it cool off. I don't want to hit it with paint while it's still a little bit hot. So going back to the comments, let's see. Yeah, Edwin, that's a good question. So yeah, when you're doing repaints, like I had that question even when we on Rogues Gallery Live when we talked to some of the sculptors, because yeah, as you're putting more coats of paint onto the statue, you're covering, the more layers of paint you're putting onto the statue, the you're right, you're losing a little bit of detail. I mean, I went a little bit heavy on the portraits at the moment. I guess I did a little bit on the body too. I didn't lose any detail, I would say. I mean, I'm sure a little bit gets lost, but not to the point where it's noticeable. That was my question when I would say maybe like primer. If you were priming something, the primer is definitely going to fill in a lot of the crevices. I didn't have to prime this guy because I'm working with similar colors. So that would have been a little bit interesting. I mean, that's just one of those things that, if you're painting it for somebody, they got to understand, like, like if I had to explain to them, like, listen, well, I got to prime it first. You might lose a little bit of detail here and there on certain things. If that's what you want to move forward with, then yeah, just be advised that that might happen. But yeah, my question was to the sculptors, when they're sculpting something on like the computer, do they take into account the details that eventually like paint and primer, all these different layers of paint are going to go on that kind of like might cover up the details? I forget. I think I asked that to Daniel Bell. I forget his answer. I think he does. I think he did say he takes it into account when sculpting. I'm not sure. Or maybe I made him realize that maybe I opened his eyes that maybe that's a good point. Like maybe start sculpting the pieces with the details a little bit more pronounced. This way, by the time the paint goes on, it doesn't get lost. But for the most part, I haven't really noticed much of a difference in the details. His face has a lot of, the crevices with the rocks in it, like that rock texture. They're not as deep as on his body. And I could still see them on his face. They're still there. They didn't get covered up. Like something for his body, they're so deep. You wouldn't have to worry about his body, like repainting the body. That the cracks are deep enough that it would take a million coats of paint to cover that up. But yeah, I haven't personally. I haven't really noticed the difference. But I would imagine, yeah, you could lose a little bit. Eddie Rodriguez in the chat. Is this my project or did someone else commission it? Someone else commissioned this. I was sent 2 of these to repaint. So this is the second one. I did one already about 4 months ago. If you want to see the end result, like a sneak peek, early look at it, because this one's going to be pretty much the same. It's on I did a YouTube video on it, like less than 20 minutes, showing the entire process. This video is more like in depth, like just raw. I keep calling it raw and uncut because you're getting everything. Even you're watching paint dry. It's the total experience for anybody that wants to see how long it takes to paint one of these things. But yeah, this is for someone else. The first one was for someone else. I don't really have much time to paint things for myself. I have a lot of projects I would like to paint for myself, but yeah, I'm just busy working on projects for other people at the moment. I've already been contacted by maybe like 3 or 4 other people to paint another one of these, so I don't know. We'll see. Like I was explaining earlier, so I got to take a break in between doing the same character over and over again. Devastator Omega. Am I using warm or cool air on the hairdryer? So I actually use hot air. I never noticed an issue with it. And then at the end, I switch it to cool, just to cool things down, because the hot air doesn't get in the way, but when you do hit it with the hot air, it might get a little bit tacky. So before I go spraying it again, I like to cool it down. Otherwise, the paint kind of gets a little bit sticky when you start shooting more paint at it again. But it's fairly quick. Definitely don't use a heat gun though. Heat gun, it's just way too hot. It interacts with the acrylic paint, and it'll actually make the paint bubble up on you. So don't ever use a heat gun. All right, let's get back. Let's see. Yeah, he's good. I'm just gonna hit him one more time. He actually looks pretty good. I'm gonna hit him one more time. I want to get under the eye sockets actually one more time, because that's the area I've been neglecting, because I have to tilt them. But under the eye sockets, he stays, you know, I keep the shadows darker under there anyway, so if it's a little bit darker under there, it's not a big deal. Okay. But going back to Edwin's question with the the paint getting thicker and covering up the details, with the airbrush gun, it goes on so like fine that the paint's really not even going on that thick. I mean, I'm putting it on pretty heavy right now, but if I had to, I could just do a really fine mist, and you don't have to really worry about losing details. Like if this was a piece where I was worried about maybe like a section losing the details, I would just put it on very lightly, very slowly. Okay. Now, if you were putting this on by brush, it might be a different story. The brush, like a paintbrush, it goes on a lot thicker. All right, we're done with those for today. That's the base coat. So that's our base coat on those two. I'm gonna let them dry, and then they'll get silly puttied to mask them off, and then I can go around and do the base coat on the blue area. So that'll be another day, and let's bring back the body. Put these off to the side somewhere. If I have space in this room anymore. Let's see. Okay. We'll let that dry. I still need to go back and remove the silly putty out of the eye socket, and the eye sockets I'll do by brush. Yeah, this guy is heavy. He is one solid piece. Yo. All right. He's back. So if you're just joining in and you want to see a recap of what was done yesterday, let's go in remote. So it's basically how he's looking at the moment. He's somewhat finished on the top half, except for the arms. The arms and the legs haven't been done yet, other than base coating him. Also, I'll say it again, my phone seems to capture the colors loads. My phone seems to capture the colors a little bit more saturated, so what I'm seeing in person looks a lot different than what you might be seeing on camera. In person, the colors are a little bit lighter with the blue. They're not like so vibrant looking. Although, I mean, it looks cool on camera, but just want to explain that it's not the same exact color tone. Looks a little bit more purplish on camera. So part one, if you want to go back and watch any of these videos in the future, part one was doing the base coat with the blue and the gray, which is still pretty much what the bottom is right now. Part two, I started doing the ink wash on the front and the ink wash on his back. And I started shading and highlighting his back and his chest. So he's looking really cool. It's not 100% done yet with the chest and the back. I still got to go in and do a little bit. I'm going to do a little bit of a dry brush weathering to pop the textures a little bit more. But overall, it's looking really good. I'm happy with it. Once I clear coat it, it also kind of brings everything together. Kind of ties the paint in together once you clear coat something. But we got all the shading done, all the highlights, and that's the difference between shading and highlighting and doing an ink wash compared to just doing a base coat. So that's basically what we just did to the face, just a base coat. At this point, we're going to start working on this half, and then if I have time, I'll start the boots today. Like I said, this one isn't going to be as long as a video. I'm not doing another 4-hour video today. I got to get to another job. So I think I'll probably go like another hour. I'll definitely should be able to get through the loincloth with the ink wash and the shading. The shading shouldn't take too long on the loincloth because there's not a ton of muscles everywhere compared to his chest and his back. That took me a while yesterday because this guy's very musculature. All right, so put away this gray paint so it doesn't accidentally spill. Let's see, are we still on camera here? Frame. Okay. Let me just check the comments real quick. Oh, hey, what's up, JC Chan? Yeah, definitely, like I said, these videos are long. I don't expect everyone to stick around and watch the whole thing. These videos, I mean, like I said in the other live stream the other day, I enjoy these videos. These types of videos is sometimes what like if I go on a long trip, I'll just put on like a video, like a 4-hour video of someone else painting and just listen to it and listen to what techniques they're doing and try to pick up any, tricks and stuff like that. Always trying to learn something new. But I find the longer, like 4-hour videos more beneficial if you're trying to learn something. So that's what these types of videos are for. Let me come on camera so I'm not talking to myself. So these types of videos are more for like artists that want to get into the field of painting, or if you guys just in general are curious to see what goes into painting a statue, like how long it takes. I put out like the quicker videos too, where it's like 10 minutes and just shows everything really quickly. Everything's edited. It looks like everything was done like super quick and like, wow, it's like, before and after 10 minutes. Wow, that statue got painted so quickly. It's not like that. These things, I did 4 hours on, was it Saturday? I did another 4 hours on Sunday, so that's 8, and doing probably another 2 to 3 hours today. So was that 8? We're almost getting up to like 10 or 11 hours on this guy, and he's not even near done yet. This project's going to be like 30 hours maybe or more. So it's a lot of work painting these things, especially this one because he's already put together. It's a repaint. So someone asked me what the hardest part of painting was in general, and I mentioned this statue specifically, it's harder to paint because when they painted this in the factory, he was in parts. The boots would have been separate. You know, this arm would have been separate, and they can, you know, take the part, they can paint it quickly, and then glue it together, and then, you know, do some shading and touch up any areas they need to touch up. Because he's already glued together, except for like the switch out parts, which are magnetic. For me to come in and now have to do a repaint, it takes me longer because I can't pop his arm off or his leg off and quickly, you know, blast it with one color. You know, in order to paint behind this hand, it's going to take me a while because I can't get back there. I have to really go back there and be really careful not to spill paint on the rest of him when I do the back of the hand. It's very time consuming. So it's a big difference between painting this as a repaint versus if I had to paint this at a factory. It would have been a lot quicker and easier. So it's more time consuming to do a repaint on this guy than what it came from the factory. So just want to point that out. But yeah, it's a lot of work, and like I said, the videos are going to be long, but I feel like that's where you really learn everything. If you want to learn what goes into it and just pick up every little tip or trick. I watch other channels. Like I said, my biggest mentor is Matt M. Rosick. Hopefully I said it right this time. He puts out a lot of long videos that are like 4 hours long, and I would just either, like I said, either watch them at home, not so much at home, but most of the time I listen to him in my car and just try to pick up some tricks over the years from him, and he's helped me a lot over the years. Just learn the whole process of airbrushing and how to get started. So hopefully that inspires somebody else watching these longer videos. They might, you know, be like, oh, that's what I need to do, or, you know, might help somebody else out. So that's what these longer videos are for. You know, the quicker videos are like, all right, cool, I just want to see the before and after. That's what the quicker videos are for. These are for the more, you know, like serious artist that wants to like just see every single freaking step, including how long it sits there to wait for the paint to dry. All right, back to work. All right, let me set up my ink wash. If you watch part 1 and 2, you've probably seen this already. Like I said, it should go quicker on the loincloth because he doesn't have a ton of little muscles. I got to sit there and detail each one. So hopefully this goes quicker. For the ink wash, again, just in case I don't expect everybody to watch 20 hours. Even the ones like I watch, I don't sit there and watch like all 4 hours. I might flip through it and just see the stuff that I want to see. So I'm going to repeat it again on camera. Let's move more. So for the ink wash, you know, use whatever you got. I use these little plastic dishes, and I set up 2 of them. One's going to be a darker batch, and one's going to be a lighter batch, because I like to be able to control the flow of the ink. I like to put it on light, and then if I need to go back and make something darker, I'll dip into the darker batch. So using standard acrylic ink. This one is by, who's this by? Amsterdam. I think Liquitex makes another one. It's the one I usually use. They were out of stock on that one. This is black. The inks come in different colors. So I'm just going to put a few drops in each dish. And then you don't want to put that straight on just by itself, because it'll just completely black wash everything. You want to thin it down with the thinner. So I'll repeat it again. I have a video on this, everything you need to know about airbrushing. My thinner mix, which I'm almost running out, I gotta make a new batch. It's basically a like 40-40 ratio of distilled water to isopropyl alcohol. And then the last 20% is glycol. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I think I keep mixing up what it's actually called. I think it's called glycol. It's basically flow improver. It helps the drying times. It helps the paint not dry as quickly because I'm using alcohol, which really speeds up the drying time. So they kind of counteract each other, but the glycol is more for my airbrush gun, so the tip doesn't get tip dry. But it's in my mix already. But otherwise, I could probably just use just regular alcohol in this. The glycol for the ink wash isn't important. You could just use alcohol or even water probably. Alright, so the first mixture, I'm just going to put a few drops of the thinner. Just to thin it down a little bit. And then the other one, I want it really thin. So I'm just going to drench it with a lot of thinner. Alright. As for the brush, I like to use something, that's bushy. This is a makeup brush, something, you don't want anything too like fine or stiff feeling. It's nice and like a nice fluffy brush. I use a smaller one. You can use a larger one. It's a little bit more control with the smaller brush, and basically work around in sections with the ink. You don't want to go all over the place at once because you want to be able to control it before it dries. It takes a little bit to dry, so you have some time. All right. Let me zoom in. Let's go with that. Just make sure we are in focus. Okay. I need something to just grab a wipe. I just need to wipe it off a little bit. Okay. I should probably set up my airbrush gun. So when I do this, let me. That's not enough to like do anything. In the meantime, I gotta set my airbrush gun because what I do is, if you watched this yesterday, I put on the ink wash and then I also spray it with the base coat color, which is this. It's Magic Blue. Use the Magic Blue by Vallejo for the base coat, and I mist it back over it, and that kind of gives me like this texturized effect between the alcohol and the ink. It creates like this separation effect that kind of like gives this cool texture effect. So that's what I've been doing on this type of repaint for this guy. So I just need to flush out my gun real quick. So let's actually do that first. You want to see how to flush out an airbrush gun before switching colors. Basically, I could use this. Actually, let me get a new one. I basically just grab a wipe. Wet wipe, baby wipe, whatever you want to call them. A man wipe. Let's see. Let's empty the cup. I got a little bit of paint left in the cup, so I'm just gonna empty that out real quick. And then basically I just take the wipe and scoop out any residue in the cup, and then I'll put in some distilled water or thinner to flush out the needle. So currently the inside you get like a little bit of paint residue around the outline, the liner of the cup. So I'm gonna pull that out. That's why when I paint, I like to paint for a few hours because, the cleanup takes a while. I don't like painting for like a half hour and then have to spend an hour cleaning up. So, all right, so the cups, the inside of the cup's clean. I got to flush out the needle part, which would be down here. So now that the cup is clean, I can put in my. Let's use. We'll use thinner. Actually, I'm almost out of thinner. I'll just use the distilled water. Should be fine. So it basically just shoots into this container. This is a paint spray, airbrush cleaner. It just shoots the paint into the container and then has a filter up top that filters any vapors and stuff. I'm using acrylic paint, so there are no vapors, but my thinner does have isopropyl alcohol, so that is something you don't want to be breathing in, which just reminded me I need to turn on my fan, my exhaust fan. Alright, let me mix up a batch of this magic blue real quick. Always give your paint a good shake. Usually for like a solid minute. I've been using this on and off, so it's pretty much, for the most part, already shaken up. So I don't like measure out my mixtures. I just do it by eye. I got, comfortable over the years to where I know where it needs to be. Okay. Set this off to the side. Alright, so we'll load up the airbrush gun. And then as I ink him, I'll be spraying him with the alcohol and a little bit of the magic blue. Actually, I just reminded myself. So when I mist him, I actually like to use a very thin coat of the magic blue. So I actually need to make that a little bit more watery. Give me a second, I can clean up here. Sorry about that. Had a little bit of a paint spill on my pants. Alright, where were we? Alright, back to the ink wash. Let me actually get my gloves on. Sorry, I just gotta check my messages real quick. A ton of emails with all these Black Friday deals. Did anybody pick up anything cool from Black Friday? Like I said, I think I said earlier, I've been avoiding all these Black Friday emails. I quickly delete them before I see anything I want. I spent enough money last Black Friday. It's today. I think today's like Cyber Monday. But yeah, I haven't even been following the statue groups with all the deals. Are they actually any good? If anybody's watching live. Alright, so that's a little bit too thin. I'm gonna make that a little bit darker. And I'm gonna work in sections, so like I'll do like maybe like the front panel, and then the side panel, and the back panel. And what this is going to do, it's going to help all these little details in the texture just stand out and pop. I have an entire video on ink washing that I put out. It was in October. I did like a sculpt for Halloween. If you want to check out everything you need to know about ink washing. But I'll repeat it anyway, because sometimes, you know, you learn something by hearing it over and over and over again. When you ink wash, you usually want to clear coat it first and seal, you know, the paint. Otherwise, the ink stains the paint a little bit too dark. Also, the clear coat helps the ink wash be able to rub off easier. That's why I'm not ink washing the arms yet. I'm saving that, you know, and the legs. I'm saving that for last because I need to clear coat this guy first. So now I haven't clear coated the blue yet, and I'm ink washing it. So it goes against what I just said to do. And the reason for that is, like I was explaining, I think it was probably yesterday. Oh, let me just get this. With this guy, the textures are so subtle that when I go to wipe it off, it kind of just wipes off everything. It's kind of hard to get the ink to stay in the cracks, you know, like, because they're not that deep. And also, I want the paint to get darker, like a lot darker on him. I don't want it to be this bright of a blue color. So now you probably might be saying, well, why didn't you just spray him a darker blue to begin with? And like I was explaining, when I do you know, any type of paint job, I create multiple sample colors. I'll, you know, put together maybe like 10 different blues, 10 different grays, and then choose my palette of what I want to use. And I just wasn't really happy with any of the blues I was coming up with. So they were either just too dark, like he already was, or they were a little bit too purpley. And we kind of wanted to stay a little bit more on the brighter side of the blue, you know, spectrum. Kind of like it's almost like a sky blue. So I found this worked out really good with doing the bright blue and then dropping an ink wash over it. It gave me like the perfect blue shade. So that's why I haven't clear coated him first before doing this. So it's a slightly different technique than what I normally do. Like normally now I would just wipe off, I would rub something against the top surface and wipe it off, and then all the ink would just stay in the cracks. In this case, I'm just going to blast it again with the base coat on the airbrush gun. And that's going to kind of push everything into the cracks, and at the same time darken up the color a little bit. Vengeance in the chat saying he picked up some video games for Black Friday. Yeah, I did some Christmas shopping over the weekend, so I got some deals and stuff like that. But as far as like hobby stuff, like statues or like video games, I didn't like really get anything. Alright, so let's blast them. Probably should test that first. Okay, I'm gonna fix the adjustment on my gun. There it goes. My trigger was stuck. So when you airbrush, it's a two-step. It's a two-function on the gun. If you push down, it's just air, and then when you pull back, it shoots the paint out. I was pushing down just for the air, and paint was flying out my trigger. The spring on my trigger was stuck. So always test spray before you actually spray the statue. Oh, I gotta make sure I don't get any overspray on his legs. I brought up pieces of cardboard. I'm not gonna tape them because I'll spend more time taping them than it will take me to just go back and cover up any light overspray on his legs. The legs are still base coated, so it's not at like in a later stage where I'm worried about something getting on the legs at the moment. But I will cover them a little bit. I'm just lightly misting this over it. I don't want to completely cover it. And then later on in the project, I'll go back and I will dry brush over the texture again. So with ink washing, it's a back and forth process. You know, it's not something that's done in one step. You go back and forth until you're happy with the results. I can't say I've ever ink washed something in one step or one coat. It's back and forth, back and forth. But you can already see the difference between the front panel and the back panel. It's alright. It already makes the details, like the highlights and the shadows are already popping out on their own. And we haven't even done the shading or highlighting yet with the paint. The belt will also get repainted brighter, so I'm not really worried about overspray on the belt. Most of the time I do mask off what I'm painting on this guy. I'm pretty comfortable painting him without masking anything at the moment. Towards the end I will mask off certain areas. But yeah, you can already see on camera the difference. Let me show you. I mean, I barely did anything yet, but that was your before. Just the solid blue, and then just a splash of ink. You get that effect. It's quick, easy. Anybody can do it. It's not hard. You saw what I just did. I just threw some ink on them and wiped it around a little bit. And it'll dry. It'll evaporate a little bit over time, settle into place. It's a really simple, cool effect. If anybody's into like painting miniatures, like the little we call them little 3D miniature kits or whatever they call them, those figurine things, like tabletop pieces or whatever. This is a really great technique for miniatures because miniatures you can't do like these super high detailed paint jobs on because they're tiny little pieces, but you do an ink wash, you see what it does. It creates a really cool effect. So if you're into painting miniatures, ink wash them. It's quick, easy, and you get great results. And I'll probably leave it a little bit darker in the crevices with the ink, so it creates some natural shading. Like I'm really happy with that side. I think I'm going to go back and do this side with the ink because I'm seeing it's not as dark. So it's back and forth. Just let that dry in there for a second. Alright, so that's pretty good. I can start working my way over to the next panel. So let's do the side panel. So now these side panels are like a PVC plastic. So it's a different material. It gets a little bit different when you're working on it because especially with the ink or just paint in general. From my experience, I noticed that, like say for example with the ink, it doesn't soak into the statue as well as it does with the polystone. The polystone, I guess, is a little bit more porous, and it kind of accepts the ink a little bit better. So I got to go really easy on this because on the plastic you can get a lot of drips, and you just got to go a little bit slower. It's different, especially when painting it as well. Vengeance is asking if I'm touching up the base as well or just the body and the head sculpts. So on the last one I painted, let me show you real quick. The last one I painted, there's a spot on the back. I mean, you don't see it on display, but there's like all these like different cables and like, well, not wires. They're mostly I'm trying to think of the right word. Not cables, like these like metal pipes. It's almost, it looks like what's it called? Oh crap, what's the name of it? Oh, biomechanical. It looks like these. Actually, I have, it's like actually what's tattooed on my arm. It looks like all these like biomechanical cables and like, you know, cool like like these like spiral type cable effects. Kind of like maybe like what we see like on like Brainiac or something like that. But anyway, there's all these like little metal, you know, pipes running throughout the back that they just painted the same color as the rock. It was just gray, like a dark gray. So on the last one I painted, I ended up, you know, making them look more biomechanical. I made them look like gunmetal. I made a few of them like brass looking, and it really, you know, stood out. It looked a lot better, even though it's on the back of the base. For this one though, to answer your question, sorry for the long answer. Yeah, we are going to touch up this base. He wants to go in and I think fix the lava effect. In person, I don't think it's that bad, but he's been very patient with me, the collector I'm doing this for, so I will put in the extra time for the base. He wants that, I think, touched up as well. But overall, it's not bad. I don't think the base is that bad, the way they did it. Oh, we're still on the feet. Hold on. So. Okay, let's do these side panels. I'm just going to do really light at first. So the thing with the ink is you can reactivate it. So like it was, I let it sit on the edge there for a while and let it dry. And just hitting it with the isopropyl alcohol again, that's in my thinner, it like reactivated it, and I was able to spread it back out again. So even if the ink dries, as long as you catch it, I say within like a half hour to an hour, you can like actually reactivate the ink if it looks dry and you want to like move it around and spread it out more. So something to take into consideration. Also, don't be afraid to put the ink on dark. It does dry lighter. Like you'll see at times I splash it on, it looks like I'm painting the statue black. It gets a lot lighter as it dries. I'm just going very light on these panels though, because like I said, they're plastic. Hey, what's up, night? Morning to you. It's almost afternoon where I am. Today's going to be a little bit shorter because I do have to head out to handle some business for my main job that I do. I only paint part-time. So I had some time this morning. I think the next video will actually be this weekend. My family's stepping out, so I'm kind of in the house by myself this weekend, and there'll probably be some more longer videos this weekend. Probably most likely Saturday and Sunday. Definitely Sunday. I want to get to doing the legs and the arms because that's a lot of fun to watch. To me, my favorite part, like even watching other channels, you know, when they paint, especially statues, I like watching the shading and the highlighting. To me, that's the most interesting thing to watch, and for me, that's the most fun thing to paint, is the shading and the highlights. I mean, the ink's kind of fun too, I guess. But all right, so I put this on really light. I'm not even gonna spray it. I want it to dry, and I want to see what it looks like. So let's move to the. Let's actually do the other one first too. This way they both dry evenly. I can adjust them later, and then we'll move on to the back of him. Let me zoom out, give you guys a different view. Vengeance, I own a courier business. I deal with basically like shipping and transit. So something I've been doing for over 20 years. It's my own business, but I'm hoping to get back into painting full time if I can, or just art in general. I went to school for art. My background is in art, so I'd like to maybe make a switch in my career here, which is why I've been kind of doing all this. I'm trying to get my name back out there and hopefully get noticed. And I said in the other video, I hopefully have some good news for 2024. Might have a little opportunity to work for someone painting some prototype work. But yeah, my ultimate goal would be to get picked up by, you know, one of these bigger companies. But even if it's not painting, at least like something on the creative team. I mean, this is what I like to do. Art is my you know, my passion. So trying to hustle, trying to do as much as I can to get my name out there. I mean, I know this guy's a little bit extreme. It's not something like if I had to paint this for Sideshow, I probably wouldn't make him this, you know, with the colors. I wouldn't contrast them this bright, you know, but a lot of people like them, like those punchier colors where it's like, you know, brighter and darker. But hopefully Sideshow takes notice, or somebody sees what I can do. I kind of like a mixture of like this style and say like what the Sideshow. Like Sideshow paints everything very dark and muted. That's just like their style. I guess they want to keep everything a little bit more realistic looking. There's nothing wrong with that. I like an in-between mixture. I really like the way Prime 1 paints their statues. That would be more of like my style if I had to like paint something. I'm making this guy pretty... He looks very punchy right now between the two colors, but I still have to clear coat him. And I still have to go back and do a lot of textures. If I feel like he is too, you know, bright and dark between the two different blues I have right now, I can always mist him with some transparent blue and kind of mute him down a little bit. That's all stuff that gets done at the end, though. Because as he dries, it changes. So I did go heavy with the highlights and the shading yesterday. More so the highlights. The shading's fine. I went pretty bright with the highlights on this guy. So if I have to tone down the highlights at the end, I could easily do that. It's not a big deal. But the collector I'm painting this for likes the way it looks, so I'll have to discuss that with him. Alright, let's see how the other side dried. So if it dries up nice, I'm not even going to like spray over it or anything. It's still drying. Alright, so let's work on the back. Get the zoom back in. Whoop. I'm going to save that hand for last. I'm in New Jersey. Formerly from New York. Just moved out to New Jersey a few years ago. I'm still in New York every day, though. So basically, New Jersey, New York. Alright, so we're back to the polystone. I can start putting this on a little heavier again. I don't know why I'm still holding this cardboard in my hand. I don't need that. Okay. Get it a little darker in there. There you go. He's got like this, it's almost like an orange skin texture in this area. So I want to bring all that out. A little lefty action there. Spray that with the gun. Fan it out a little bit. Okay. Oh, more. Test spray. Trigger's still sticking. Okay. I think I gotta lube up this trigger again. Having issues with it. In a minute, I'll show you what it's looking like up close, the textures. Let that dry for a minute. But again, you can see the difference now between the paint, between that section and then the brighter section. Like I said, so I wasn't lying when I was doing the base coat, saying he's gonna look crazy at first until I put on the ink wash and do everything. But that's why I made him so bright, though, because the ink wash mutes him down a lot. And then I come back with this color for the highlights. I add a little bit of white, and that becomes my highlight color that you see like throughout his back and everything. So that's the end result. Devastator, the last 3D print I printed and painted. And what 3D printer do I use? So the last thing I 3D printed was actually a quarter scale punchline. It was supposed to be for myself. The last thing I printed and painted for a customer was Ninja Turtle. I spent a few years working on 3D printed Ninja Turtles for people. It was a big hit. Everybody wanted one. And then, like I said, I get tired of working on the same thing. I still get requested to paint them. I have videos on those too if you want to see them. But I was getting tired of painting them. I mean, I gotta take a break. I literally spent like a year or two just painting Ninja Turtles. And then I printed a punchline for myself because I wanted it in my collection, and I just never had time to paint it. That was the last thing I printed. She's actually on my Instagram if you want to see what she looks like. I have some pictures of her. As far as printer goes, I have a any cubic. I'm trying to think which model it is. It's been a while since I've even used it. I think it's the Photo. Oh, Anycubic Mono X. So it's a decent, size printer, but nowadays they have even better, bigger and better ones. Every year, it's like any type of electronic. Every year something bigger and better comes out. I'm actually going to spray these panels because they're looking a little crazy. Looks like raindrops are on them. Or I might be able to just rub it in. So. Yes, not too bad. Let me spray it a little bit. He's got like a lot of dimples on these side panels, so that's kind of what you see. It almost look like raindrops, but it's the ink is capturing all the little dimples. But I mean, that's what you want the ink to do. You want it to catch the crevices, but it was looking a little crazy, so I had to tone it down. Yeah, when I was painting the Ninja Turtles for people, one of the coolest things was I put the finished project, all painted up on my Instagram, and it was huge. It exploded. It had like over I think like 10,000 likes and views. Like somebody shared it on like some huge channel. And I was like, oh my god, it's like somewhat going, not like super viral, but it just took off like crazy. And then actually, oh, there we go, stays right there. The guy that played Leonardo in the '89 movie, the original movies, he actually gave me like a thumbs up and left a comment on my post saying he really liked the statue. So it was really cool to get a comment from the guy. He was the guy that plays the actor inside the suit. So I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, it's looking better. If I remember from the last project with the side panels, I made them a little bit brighter. So when I go back and do like the highlights and the shading, I shade the loincloth a little bit different than I shade the muscles. I kind of like separate the panels. So I'll make like this panel a little darker, like a different shade of blue. And I'll leave the middle brighter, and then this darker, and then I leave the ends brighter. I kind of like alternate between light and dark, just to separate them a little bit, because the panels look really cool. They got like all these cool like line work and like like the sculpt in it. And if it gets painted just one solid blue, it kind of gets lost. So I kind of like to separate the panels with different shades of blue. It comes out really nice. Otherwise, it looks a little bit boring, especially compared to his muscles. His muscles are so like I said right now, like high contrast. And he obviously doesn't have any muscles, or maybe one muscle. But that was a bad joke, sorry. But yeah, I want to keep everything looking consistent. So that was my solution to do alternating panels between light blue and dark blue, light blue, dark blue. Vengeance. My Instagram is It's All Things Art, and same thing on Facebook. It's All Things Art. The links are in the description to the video. So if you go to the video title, it'll say more, and then just click on more. There's a description of the video and everything going on, and then there's links to my links to my Instagram, links to my Facebook, my email address if you ever need to contact me. I usually respond to like, I guess Facebook the quickest if you do need to contact me. I'm not too much into emailing back and forth. If you know my personal account on Facebook, Eric, my name is Eric. Uh, I answer that the quickest. I don't mind being contacted on that. That's actually what I prefer to be contacted on. I just don't like, leaving the link public. But if you're friends with me on Facebook, contact me on Facebook under Eric. But otherwise, anything you can contact me under. It's all things art as well. Okay, that looks a lot better. Got rid of that like raindrop effect. I'm gonna let that dry, and I might go back and like ink it again. Or I think what I did the last time is I kind of like brushed it on with my finger to capture some of the texture, because it's like I said, it's got like this dotted pattern, which is fine, but and it's got some cuts and slashes in it. I just noticed that now, like battle damage. So I might go in and just do that by hand, not with the ink, or I might go in with like a paintbrush or something. We'll see. All right, let me finish this back loincloth. And I think that's going to probably wrap it up. I'm going to wrap it up soon, like another... Let's see, do I have to? Actually, no, I might have a little bit more time, actually. Let's see. I don't want to leave them half inked. I'm definitely going to finish the loincloth. Brighten that up a drop. Hey, you know what? No, yeah, the link's in the video description. I was going to type it in the chat, but just check out the video description. It has my link. Let's brighten this up a little bit. As the paint dries, it changes a little bit. All right, let's finish this back. I don't want to leave it half sitting like that for too long. So this side's a little tougher because his hand is in the way. I really wish they made this hand magnetic. That would save me a lot of time. Now I'm going to work around it, and then I'll stick my head up under there and try to get under it. It's alright if it gets on his skin a little bit, but I'm just trying to avoid having to touch anything else. This section's very close. So touching his body right there. What I might do in the next videos, I might ink his boots off videos, where you're not sitting here watching me ink every single day. And I'll just start the video off with highlighting and shading the boots. Yeah. It's pretty much the same process with inking. Makes it a little difficult painting him because he's so large in one solid piece. It's not like a small part where I could rotate it and flip it over. I mean, I could lay him down, but before I lay him down, I gotta clear coat him. Otherwise, I'll risk the chance of messing up my paint job. So once I clear coat him, which will be once all the blue is done, he'll get clear coated, and then I can, if I need to lay him down and get into certain areas, I'll go back and detail him. At the very end, I detail everything. Go back and fix anything. I give him I guess basically like a QC check. Make sure I didn't miss anything. If I did, I fix it. Should be good. The ink should, not the ink, the paint should push it back in. I think I brightened this back up too much. I gotta go back in and do it real quick. So it's usually a back and forth process. The ink dry is different. It starts to evaporate. So sometimes you just gotta let it sit for like a day. See how it looks the next day. The front still looks good. Alright, so let me hit this with the airbrush gun. Make sure we're still focused. Okay. Going up. I need to go out and get some poster board. It's a little bit thinner. I usually use a poster board. I'm using a piece of cardboard. Slide it up under his loincloth. I'm gonna let that dry, let it do its thing. So, I don't mind going back and forth, but I don't like going back and forth more than 3 times, and I think I'm messing with it too much. I just gotta let it dry and do its thing. Just want to try something. So this pattern is different than what was on his chest. I might be able to wipe this off with my finger. Let's see. Actually, yeah, I should have been doing this. All right. So that texture is a little bit deeper. It's where I can actually go in there and wipe it off like I would a normal ink wash would be. So I'm gonna. It's only in certain spots though. It's not the side panel or this back panel. I guess that's supposed to be more like metallic, but this has like an orange peel on the bottom. I guess it's supposed to be more like leather. So I could do a little bit different technique to where I just wipe it, and the ink's actually staying in the cracks. So I gotta handle the 2 areas a little differently. But that's already looking a lot better right there. So let me do that real quick. That's why I wasn't liking it. I just forgot it's a different texture. Okay, there we go. Now it's picking up the detail. I was going back and forth, and I was losing the detail every time I was spraying it. This would be the normal ink wash technique. You put it on, and then you can wipe it off with the cloth or your finger. You just want to make sure you catch just the top surface. Yeah, I'll show you real quick up close what that's doing. So normally on an ink wash, you would put the ink on. Let me zoom out actually. It's gonna look a little crazy right now because everything's still wet. But normally on an ink wash, you put on the ink and then you wipe it off from the surface, so that it would only leave. Let me see if it focuses. I don't know if it's going to show because it's still a little bit glossy right now. It's still wet. But basically you would put it on and then wipe away the top area. This way the ink only stays in the cracks. It's going to keep going out of focus. And then you're left with just the lighter blue on top. You gotta let it dry. The reflections causing a glare on it right now. It's also gotta dry and evaporate a little. Okay. There we go. It's just that bottom section. Like I said, it's a different material as far as this costume goes. dry for a minute. Getting there. It's almost done. Yeah, devastated. I'm just reading your comment about opening your own business. Yeah, it's definitely better to work for yourself than working for somebody else. But it also has its disadvantages as well. One of my biggest issues, because I do work for myself, is I don't get like paid holidays or sick time or vacation time. It's hard to kind of like schedule all that type of stuff. All right, I guess there's not too much more with this. It's not the most exciting thing to stare at right now. So I'll probably call it wraps right now because I got to start getting to go anyway. Get you guys back on me for a second. So I'm gonna finish them up for like what time is it? It's 11:40 my time. I'm gonna finish them up for maybe another half hour. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'm thinking if I should sit here and shade them. If I get started with the shading and the highlighting, I know I'll get stuck here for another hour or two, and I can't do that today. So let me stop now. I'm gonna stop the video now at least, and then I'm gonna do like another 20 minutes just touching up the ink wash on the loincloth, just to get that to the area that I want it to be at. And then next video I'll start doing the shading and the highlighting. I might do the boots, like I said. I might ink the boots off camera as well. That's why you're not sitting there watching that. I think you've seen enough of the ink washing. It's not, it's pretty standard, just putting ink on something and wiping it off. So it's not that really much to know about it. So I enjoy shading, I enjoy highlighting, so I want to show more of that on the camera. And then, like I said, we'll do the portraits. We still got to paint this hand. This ugly orange hand still needs to get painted, so that'll be fun painting over this. We still need to do the glow effect on his eyes. The skin. The skin's going to be really awesome to watch when we do all the... even the ink on the skin's a lot more interesting, because when you see the ink fall into like the rock textures, it's really interesting to watch. So that's a lot better. Yeah, I'll save the ink for his arms and legs, because that's really where you see the ink effect in full effect, because he has such large crevices on his body as far as the legs and arms go. You really see how the ink travels throughout those areas, and being able to wipe it off like a normal ink technique would be. So we'll save all the inking for his arms and legs. I'll do the rest of the inking off camera, such as the boots and I guess his arm, his other hand, his swap out hand. And I'll save everything for camera as far as like shading, highlighting, and so forth, like doing the eyes and stuff like that. I think that'll be the plan moving forward, just to keep the videos a little bit more interesting. But otherwise, guys, have a great day. If you did hang out for the live stream, thanks for joining along. It does help me. It keeps me you know, something to do instead of sitting here by myself. I do enjoy the company, even if it's just a few people, and I enjoy the comments. So thanks for watching. If you're watching the replay and you have a comment or a question on anything, I always answer every comment or any question, I should say. And if you enjoy the videos, always please like, subscribe. If you haven't already subscribed, it helps the channel grow. Trying to continue to grow this channel, trying to get my name out there, get noticed. So appreciate anybody that helps me. Thumbs up. Thank you very much. Honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much for doing that. So guys, take care. Have a great day. And the next video should be maybe Wednesday, but definitely Sunday. So take care. See you next time.